Hey everyone, Kathleen Nightingale here with KathleenNightingale.com. And I thought I'd pop in here for a little fireside chat. And the favorite subject has been the narcissist and now breaking up with a narcissist. This is a super important topic. Because it's much, much different than your average breakup. You know, if you're breaking up with a narcissist, whether they've discarded you or you finally decided you've had enough, good for you, because it takes a lot to have the strength to do that. It's very different, and, you know, you might find friends saying, oh, just get over it, you know, just move on, right? I mean, it's just the end of a relationship, right? You can think of something else. But it's so different because, you know, the narcissist is really a psychological parasite, right? They're very controlling, they're manipulative, they're lying. And after you've been love bombed in the beginning, you've got this such a deep connection. You might think, this is my soulmate. This is the person I'm meant to be with forever. And I'm sure they feel the same way because that's the way they were acting. But that was just a mask in the beginning, right? That was just that period when they were love bombing and really getting you deeply hooked, you know, with their hooks in you so that they could have that control. And then you stay in it. And after a while, the mask comes off and they devalue you. And then you see the real them, who they really are. And it's quite shocking. But, you know, because you're in this control and this trauma bond that you have with them, it is hard to let go. But when they do break it off, as often happens with the discard, it's very traumatic, you know, because they don't really love, you know, they don't love people. They see you really more as an object, okay? So you're just this object to control and to help them in some way, oftentimes to be used financially or in some other way. So you're this object, and when they leave, generally they're not going to just totally cut things off with you because they like to have their little garage of people. So they like to have their little supply at hand in case they want to get you back. So usually there's no closure. And there's got to be somebody else. They always have to have some type of supply. So they move on to their new supply, but they like to maybe keep, you know, some kind of string attached to you so that, you know, just in case. So they'll lie. They're pathological liars. So they'll lie about what they're doing and who they're doing it with and maybe pretend like they're not with anyone when it's extremely obvious. It's kind of like the gaslighting again, right? The gaslighting is like, you know, they're telling you, you know something to be true, but they're telling you it's not true, and they're leading you to think that you're crazy. And they may be doing this after they've left and they have their new supply, but they don't want you to think they do. And you may even be seeing photographs of the new supply or whatever, but they like to lie and tell you that there is no such thing when you know there is. But they want to keep you on a string because just in case, they want to look in their little garage every now and then and see who's still in there. Because in case this person just happens to get wind of things and try to dump them, they've got somebody else to go back to. So they don't like to have closure. So they kind of leave you with a lack of closure. And that's really difficult because it can be so hard to move on. You've got the trauma bond going on from the control that they had over you and the way you were taking any little tidbits, crumbs of what you thought were love and affection, and, you know, so you're still maybe hanging on some level. You don't really want to, but it's really not easy because of all the secrecy. And then a lot of times there's just a total lack of responsibility. They don't have the responsibility that a normal person does to think, well, I need to take care of this or that, or have closure for this person, even though I don't want to be with them anymore. You know, maybe on a financial level or maybe with their kids. And so they don't have the same level of responsibility, and they can easily just toss things and walk away, and it doesn't bother them. Because the other reason is they don't have a sense of conscience, right? There's no conscience there. So they don't feel guilty. They don't feel remorse. They can just dump and run and not have the responsibility and not feel bad about it. And they didn't really love you anyway because it's not real love. So it's okay to just move on. And of course, it's always about them, right? So when they move on, it's about the new supply and getting that new supply because they have to feed that energy and fill that emptiness within themselves. So, it's all about them and filling that empty space with whoever is next in line and who's ever might be second and third. There's normally a plan A, plan B, plan C, however many plans they can have just to make sure they're covered and they're not lacking in supply. You get so wrapped up in the relationship, you're trying to fix things and you just kind of lose your total sense of self. Your self-worth is now at an all-time low. I mean, they've discarded you, this person that you thought was so in love with you, and they have no conscience about it, and your self-esteem is super low, and then it's just like another kick in the pants or whatever, right? Because you're already feeling like crap, and then they discard you, and it's just this double whammy of you felt like crap to begin with, now your self-esteem is really low, now they've got their new supply, who is she younger or he younger, depending on which, but younger, more attractive, whatever is going on. And because you don't have closure, you're left wondering what's going on, And so you've got this really low self-esteem. You don't have any answers. They've got somebody else immediately, which is just so unbelievable sometimes. And you're just you can be left just in a total mess where you really need help to be picked up off the floor and dusted off. So if you're going through this, or if you've been going through this, understand, that it's normal for that to happen. And when friends say, well, why, just move on, just forget about it. You've been through a trauma bond. You've been traumatized. Your self-worth is an all-time low. You don't have closure. You weren't treated with love and respect and even halfway human, decent kindness in the end. And it's just weird because you realize you were married to this actor, or you're in a relationship with an actor or actress, that the person you thought you were with doesn't really exist anyway. So that kind of adds to the mix, right? You're bewildered, like, wait, and then later it's like hindsight is 2020. So you start finding out things that you didn't even know about because there was all this secrecy and, lying and gaslighting. So that's kind of mind-boggling too. So you're adding to the pot. We're making this stew of crap, quite frankly, after you've been through it all, with the low self-esteem and no closure and the lack of responsibility and, the trauma bond. And it's just, ugh. And, sometimes we've been so controlled by them that we feel lost afterwards. People just, normally you can just, yes. And Heather said it was incredibly traumatic, even though I left the home. Horrible. Yes. It's very traumatic. And unless you've been through it, people aren't going to understand. They're just going to think you should instantly move on, pick up the pieces and live your life. But especially with social media, now you've got the narcissist out there with somebody else, and what they like to do is they like to show off their new supply, and it's a continuation of the abuse. It literally is abuse because they'll flaunt the new supply. They'll flaunt how happy they are. I'm looking awesome. I'm doing great. And it's to the extreme. And really underneath it all, they're generally not feeling that great, but they have to, like, hurt you from a distance even. Yep, Marie agrees. They've got to hurt you from a distance, don't they? Because they want you to think that they're much happier without you, that the new supply is better than you were. So, here you are with your self-esteem at an all-time low, and you're feeling like crap, and you've been controlled, and you're begging for crumbs from the narcissist that you love so deeply, and now they're out there flaunting the new supply and making you feel even worse. So just when you think it doesn't get worse, it can get worse, and don't feel bad that happens. That's why there's people like me out there to tell you, you're not crazy. You're actually the sane person. So your self-worth has been really annihilated, and you've got to really build it up again. And it's not that easy, of course, when you've got someone else out there not giving you closure, abusing you from a distance, and making you think that their life is perfect when it's really not. So we actually end up grieving the tormentor. This was a person who could torment us. They were doing the gaslighting. They were doing things like the gotcha game, where they like to argue, press your buttons, make you angry, and then they point the finger at you, point the finger at you and go, gotcha, look at you, you're behaving badly, when they were the ones that started it all. So they love to argue, and yes, leaving isn't easy. And again, people don't get it unless they've been through it. It's not just okay, let's move on and just forget about it. It's not the normal, decent human being. It's the human being who you kind of wonder if they are an actual human being. But what they also have a tendency to do that now you have to deal with, I'm backtracking a little, is they will sniff out your insecurities in the relationship or anywhere they can and kind of blow them up. So if you had any feelings of, for example, maybe some deep-seated fear of abandonment, certainly the discard will hit that on the head, and whatever else they can find to sniff out and push your buttons on. So there's a lot of different things going on here. Of course, in the end, I guess we can say that at least they'll never be happy, because they're always going to have that empty hole that they can't quite fill, and at least you can repair yourself and move on. It takes some work, but I was just trying to think about what else I wanted to say here. Prolonging the suffering, showing off the new supply, and they don't care because also, as I mentioned, they could leave you in financial ruin, and it's okay because it's just all about them. So it really doesn't matter. And so if you're having financial difficulties and your self-esteem is low and you're burned out and fried, it just makes it really hard to get moving. The only thing they grieve, another thing I want to say, is the damage to their ego. So they're not really grieving you or the relationship. It's how they've been hurt, because again, it's only about them. So like, oh, my ego's been damaged. That's in the case of you actually leaving them. And again, kudos to you if you've been able to do that, because it's not easy. It does take a lot of strength and breaking away from that trauma bond. So hopefully I cover the topic, everything on the topic that I wanted to for now, but just trying to drive the point home that to friends and family of the people who've broken up with a narcissist, cut them some slack, because they're going through some really tough times. Yes, it's hard to end the trauma bond even after it's over and they've moved on and you're still picking up the pieces. So friends and family, go easy on your friends who have broken up with a narcissist. Give them time and understand that it's not a super quick fix, and they need, any support you can provide or offer them to help them get their self-esteem back, and how can we feel better about ourselves. And my advice on that is do something each day for yourself. And even if it's the littlest things, there are ways that we neglect ourselves. Maybe we're thirsty and we're not even getting a drink like we want, or buying ourselves a cup of coffee or some little thing. Do something for yourself every day to love yourself again, because probably you have been paying so much attention to the narc that you just totally lost sight of yourself, right? It was all about them and trying to get them back and trying to get them to love you again, which they never really did it anyway. So what can you do for you? And it doesn't have to be, it can be a massage or a facial or a pedicure, but take care of yourself each day and think of those little things that, where am I neglecting myself? And even if it's just baby steps, because we got to get that self-esteem back, and it'll come, but you need to do that. And it's, again, just paying attention to you for a change and taking it away from them. And I know how hard that can be, because we want to know what they're doing. So it's often best to not look at their social media and, because they're going to be showing off, and a lot of people say, well, in the holidays, first Christmases or whatever, they're going to really be showing off because look at me, my life is perfect without you, when it's probably not underneath it all, because they're always going to have that, insecurity and not really feel very good about themselves. So, what other tip do I have for you besides? I have my Wise and Free group, so put in @Wise and Free if you care to join us. We've got some wonderful ladies in there, and I'm putting some resources in there. And take care of you. Give yourself time. Love yourself, and know that you're not alone. We're in this together. We're going to make it. We're going to get through this. And you're a smart person. You're a beautiful person. I always say, in fact, one of my mentors said, how does it go? You're a powerful spiritual being with dignity, direction, and purpose. You've just lost sight of it. It's just a matter of reconnecting with that self again, because it's like we lose ourselves, and we got to get back to ourselves again and get that confidence back, love ourselves, and give ourselves a break. And yes, mentors are great. And that's what I'm here for too. So I have been putting things in my YouTube channel. Like I say, I'm in the group Wise and Free. And if you have any questions or comments, post them on the video. And thank you so much for tuning in. Just trying to think if there's anything else I want to add, but I think that pretty much covers it. I also want to say, they generally will go for somebody who is intelligent. So you're not stupid. Don't beat yourself up. Don't feel like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Why didn't I leave sooner? Forgive yourself, because you're a smart person. They like smart people. It's a challenge, right? But you're going to get through it, and forgive yourself. You might even write a letter of forgiveness to yourself. It's okay. I forgive you for being stuck with this person, because, it's not your fault. Oh, no, you're not. They actually like a challenge, okay? In fact, there was some article in Huffington Post about, that I read a while back, about how much they like intelligent people, because it's that extra challenge. A lot of times they like married people because it's more of a challenge to take them away from the spouse. They like intelligent people because it makes them feel good, because look, I got this smart cookie with me, right? So, and empathic people as well. Empaths, such as myself, and I'm sure many of you are as well. Us empaths, we're the caring individuals. We pick up on other people's emotions. We want to take care of everybody. And because the narcissist is lacking empathy, yep, the narcissist is lacking empathy, so they have a tendency to be attracted to the empath. And then, of course, we want to help them. And, yep, you're an empath, I'm sure. So there's a lot of us out there. So the empath really gets sucked in easily. So, you know, on a spiritual level, it's a lesson for us, right? What to look out for in the future and how to love ourselves. You know, that's a lesson, right? Because I think it's all really a lesson. How do we love ourselves again? What are your great qualities? You know, start writing it down. Try to remember, because we lose sight. Ask a friend, you know. Ask your friends. Maybe do a Facebook post. What is it you love about me? That would be an awesome one. And see what the answers are, and you may be surprised, and it'll help you get your self-esteem back. So there's a lot of ways to get that self-esteem going again. And, you know, we need to cut the cord, let them go, not allow them to keep hoovering and coming back and sucking the energy again. And then we start all over again because, you know, they put on that mask, and then, you know, we can think that they're back, the real person's back, but it's not the real person, it's the fake person. So don't let them hoover you back in. Thank you for the hearts. And don't let them hoover you back in. Stand your ground. If it takes all of your energy and self-worth, just do it. And ask everybody, you know, what is it you love about me? Take care of you. Think of little things every day. Any little thing you can do that maybe you've just neglected yourself on. I look back now and I think, gosh, there's things like before that relationship where I took much better care of myself, you know, and then I kind of got lost, and it was all about the other person because, oh, we love the other person. Yep, Susie, we love the other person, and we got to do everything for them. So now you've got to change the focus and take it away from them. And I know it's really hard, but they're just a cold person with issues, and they need to go away. I guess they could go work on themselves, but I don't think they're going to, because they don't think they need to. They'll just keep going through the same vicious cycle and teaching us all lessons in self-love. That's what this is about. It's a lesson in self-love and how we need to take care of ourselves and look after ourselves again. Hey, Heather. Heather knows about this. We need to, yes, it's very messy. We need to take care of ourselves every day, get back to that, loving ourselves again, remembering the things maybe that we used to do that we lost sight of. You know, what are some things you used to have fun with? What are some ways in which you used to treat yourself that maybe you don't treat yourself to anymore? Sometimes it's just our basic needs because the self-esteem has been pounded down into the ground. So, got to get that self-worth back. That's the main thing. And then in the future, you'll know what to look for. If anybody comes along and they're really love bombing, and when it's so fast and so heavy and so strong and so controlling, you'll know that something's not right here, right? Just take a step back, and if they really care, they'll wait for you, right? And there's no rush, and because we know that with the narc, they'll rush into it and they'll love bomb so that it can get back to their real selves again, right? Which is taking the mask off. So anyway, I hope you got some tips out of that. Again, would love to hear your comments and check out the replay if you missed it. And I'll be popping in again for some more narc-free fireside chats so we can talk about more about how to heal. I'm Kathleen Nightingale. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, intuitive life coach, and author on mind, body, wellness. So thanks for joining me. See you in my group, Wise and Free, if you want to join us. And I'll see you again soon.